The first 16,000 Hz polling rate magnetic keyboard I've ever seen, and I think it's also the best from MCHOSE so far. Should you even buy it, and does the 16,000 Hz polling rate even make a difference? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Nice secured premium packaging, all of the accessories that we will be needing, more than we will be needing, will come with the keyboard. Now, first impressions on the keyboard, I think it does look pretty cool. This is the berry red color, but you can also get it in the cyber black, galaxy orange, nova white, and peachy pink. I love how detailed it is, and I can already see all of the features here. We have a knob, light box, button here. Very nice, and it also does feel very high quality. It does have a full aluminum case. This is probably their highest quality magnetic keyboard yet, and it comes in around 1,352 grams, around that mark. Then for the keycaps, these are high quality as well, double shot PBT from what it seems. Cherry profile, they're not shine true except if you get the peachy pink color variation. Not really a big deal for me if it's shine true or not, but if you want the shine true, then go for the peachy pink. Then for the switches, these are the Mount Time magnetic switches GT, and I can already tell how stable it's gonna be. You can see all of the rails there to guide it to make it more stable. Box stem will definitely help make it even more stable, and yeah, very minimal wiggle wobble. These would be good switches for very sensitive settings. And yeah, it does have a closed bottom but kind of open. As you can see here, it is closed but it is also open on these parts. They're also very unique. I don't see a way to open them, but though they look unique, this keyboard should be compatible with most of the magnetic switches like these TTC-KOMs or Jade Pros. As long as the switches have a centralized magnet design, then yeah, it should fit here. But yeah, I also gave you guys a little sound test earlier on these switches, and they sound pretty unique as well. On the lighter, or I meant higher pitched sound, kinda loud as well. I guess we can use the word tactile on the sound. Yeah, feels very nice and snappy. I don't have any issues with these switches. But yeah, if you don't like these, you can also get them with the Polaris magnetic switches. But from what I can see on the specifications, apparently if you get them with the Polaris magnetic switches, there will be some downgrades. But anyways, here's a little sound test with the switches and the keycaps on. Again, it's on the higher pitch tactile sound on the louder side. But yeah, I think that sounds pretty good and premium. The full aluminum case definitely helped in achieving that. You can also tell they made a lot of efforts in making this keyboard sound good. Just look at all the layers, and look at this here. We have some silicone here, and I can see a good amount of lube, and that's in the stabilizers. The plate is also reflective, so the RGB will look brighter. And talking about RGB, why don't we go ahead and plug this keyboard in? I have no problems with the acoustics and the quality of this keyboard. But yeah, here it is. So you can see the light box, and here's the RGB. Here's how it looks like with majority of my lights turned off. And yeah, it is very bright and vibrant. I love the light box here. And we also have some light indicators here for different profiles. I'm pretty sure that would change once we click this button. So as you can see, it changes, and the RGB is not changing because I haven't set a different RGB effect, but it does change the profile. And yeah, there we go. Now without further ado, let's go and check out more of its performance and different features and its web-based software, as well as my latency testing tools. But okay, I have the website where you can buy this keyboard from. First link in the description. Now to access the web-based software, support MCHOSE Hub. You can download it here, but we're gonna do the web software, and here we are. Make sure to connect the keyboard, and after you connect the keyboard, they might ask you to download download a driver for the 16,000 hertz polling rate of this keyboard. So apparently make sure it works perfectly, something like that. And make sure you're also using the cable that comes in with the keyboard, or buy a cable that's compatible with 16,000 hertz polling rates and connect it to a USB 3.0 or higher if possible. And if for some reason you cannot run the driver, it might have a Chinese name. I just changed it to an English name and then it ran perfectly. So yeah. Anyways, here's the software. We'll be greeted with the RGB first and the different onboard profiles we can do here. We can also do cloud official. Oh, they have pre-made configurations here, so if you want to try them. But yeah, I already kind of messed with the settings of this keyboard. I kind of have my own settings. I'm not gonna go into too much details on how or why I set those, but I already made a separate video about that you can check out. But as you can see, we do have a lot of effects, and if you don't like any of these, we can also make our custom one. And other than the backlight, we can also change the light box. Very nice and customizable. No problems with the RGB. Now moving on to trigger settings, where we can change the rapid trigger, the millimeter distance. You can go down to as low as 0.1 millimeter for the actuation point and 0.001 millimeters for the rapid trigger press and release sensitivity. Very nice and sensitive. Just make sure you enable it here. But yeah, we can also do these stuffs, set some dead zones. From my experience though, I don't have to set any. The switches are very stable already again. But yeah, very nice and easy to customize here. This is also where we can recalibrate the keyboard, by the way, which I do recommend you do, especially if you just received the keyboard. Do these stuffs. But yeah, moving on to key remapping, also very customizable. We can also set some macros here actually. And despite having a button already to switch profiles, we can also set one over here for FN layers or whatever layer you want. I really appreciate that. I love this feature. But yeah, moving on to advanced key, we can set all of these features. I already have SOCD on my A and D. Very nice and customizable as well. Though after you set your SOCD, just make sure your rapid trigger is still on over here, because I had an experience where it's for some reason turned off. Not really a big issue, just turn it back on here. But yeah, pretty much all of the features you will be needing is here. Moving on to performance, where we can set the sleep time or the polling rate as well. As you can see, I already set mine to 16,000 hertz polling rate, and we can also do these other stuffs. And lastly, on the others tab, this is where we can update the keyboard. Very easy, no need to install anything. And we can also factory reset here. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Very nice and easy to access software. Pretty much all of the features you will be needing is here. Very easy to understand as well. I love the software of this keyboard. Now for the part everyone's waiting for. This is the first 16,000 hertz polling rate keyboard that I've ever seen. So yeah, I'm sure a lot of you, that's also the same case. And now we're going to be testing it out. What's the performance difference between 8,000 hertz polling rate and other polling rates? But yeah, here's the results in Keyboard Inspector for those interested. And okay, it is showing an 8,000 hertz polling rate pattern here, but there's a high chance that it's Keyboard Inspector that's having a bug or problem, since again, this is the first ever 16,000 hertz polling rate keyboard I've ever seen. But let me set the keyboard to 8,000 hertz polling rate, then back to 16,000 actually. Yeah, this is really the pattern it's showing. I'm not sure which is having the issue here, but again, high chance it's Keyboard Inspector as well. But yeah, here's the results for those interested. Now let's go and test this out more with my latency testing tool OSL TTCS, which I think is gonna give us more important results, because there's a lot of 8,000 hertz polling rate keyboards, but some are still faster. So yeah, let's see if 16,000 hertz polling rate actually makes a difference, or how much of a difference does it make in milliseconds. I'm also not gonna go to too much details on how this latency testing tool works, because I already made a separate video about that. But what it pretty much does is it measures the time between when the keycap comes into contact and when the computer actually receives the signal. And here's the results: 0.617 milliseconds. This is very impressive. And you know what? Comparing it to their other magnetic keyboards that are mostly on 8,000 hertz polling rate, this actually is a different result. It's faster. And yes, this is also the fastest MCHOSE magnetic keyboard I've ever tested so far, according to the numbers. Which makes a lot of sense, since this is also the fastest. While looking at the specs of the keyboards, this is the fastest one they have. So yeah, I can say that 16,000 hertz compared to 8,000 hertz polling rate does make a difference. But is it noticeable, that difference? Well, no, it is not. I always mention on my videos on the latency testing chapters that I think you'll only start noticing a difference if there's around 5 millisecond difference. But as you can see, comparing the 16,000 hertz polling rate keyboard to other 8,000 hertz polling rate, there isn't even a millisecond difference. So yeah, I don't think the difference is gonna be noticeable, but looking at the numbers, you can see it is faster by a little bit. You also gotta understand how fast 8,000 hertz polling rate already is. That's 8,000 updates per second. And yeah, 16,000 is faster faster, of course, but yeah, they're both incredibly fast already. But anyways, for those interested on the milliseconds, here you go. And I always give a little disclaimer that these results can still vary. There can be factors that alter the results, but these results should still be very accurate. And yeah, this keyboard almost became the fastest we've tried so far, but the TMR SK75 TMR is still the one on top. Again, there is definitely no way you'll notice a difference between that and this when it comes to performance, but yeah, I mean, TMR is also known to be more accurate than normal Hall effect, so I guess that makes sense why it's on the top. Anyways, without further ado, let's go and test this keyboard out more in game.
Flashing.
Flash! My ultimate's ready.
No way.
Come on, let's
Hug my body, bro.
One enemy remaining.
Nice one.
Backside.
Come on, let's go!
7 head.
Enemy remaining.
7 ata to, pre.
Backside, backside.
Backside, backside.
Nice.
So after playing and testing with the MCHOSE A68 Turbo, here's my experience so far. Now you saw the gameplay, the latency tests definitely won't hold you back when gaming. It was very responsive. As soon as I press the keys, they do actuate. As soon as I let go, they do deactivate. I didn't really encounter any issues with the software, with the 16,000 Hz polling rate. Well, I guess Keyboard Inspector couldn't show it, but again, I'm still not sure which is the problem here. Is it the MCHOSE keyboard or is it the Keyboard Inspector? High likely, again, I think it's Keyboard Inspector since this is the first, like, I've seen so far 16,000 Hz polling rate, so maybe it can't detect that high yet. But yeah, this is just crazy, bro. But yeah, all of its features work. The SOCD, the stuff's in the software, the knob here, I really appreciate it, as well as the button here, quick switch profile. The light box also looked beautiful on my setup. The mount time magnetic switches was also very stable. It felt very snappy and nice to type on and click or press when I was gaming. I didn't need to add any dead zone because of how stable it is. Again, yeah, just an overall amazing gaming experience. Now, other than gaming though, for typing daily use, I also really liked it. Typing with it, I think it sounded pretty nice personally, but again, can totally be personal preference. The sound, I didn't really encounter any double clickings on the spacebar despite being on very sensitive settings, and you can also quickly switch profiles again with the button here, or if you program FN combination, whatever you want. I also really appreciate the layout. Does have all of the keys I will be needing, the delete key, the extra keys, the arrow keys. I'm pretty used to the FN plus the numbers here for the F keys, so yeah. And as I mentioned earlier, it just looks so good on my setup. The quality is also great. The full aluminum case, the details on this keyboard, as well as the light box, I really love them. Yeah, just an overall amazing experience. Perfectly working magnetic keyboard. Now I also want to talk a little bit about the polling rate, and yes, it did make a difference. As I showed earlier, you saw the tests compared to like their other 8,000 Hz magnetic keyboards, and increasing the polling rate this time instead of the scanning rate, I think is such a great move. It definitely makes much more difference compared to increasing the scanning rates to like millions, even though the polling rate is just stuck to 8,000. So yeah, I actually think it makes sense to increase the polling rate this time, considering the scanning rate of this keyboard is on around 256,000 already. But yeah, again, as I mentioned earlier, though it does make a difference, I don't think it's gonna be noticeable. The difference between 8,000 Hz polling rate and 16,000 Hz polling rate, they're both incredibly fast already. There isn't even a millisecond difference according to my tests. So yeah, not really a noticeable difference, but for those interested on the numbers, there you go. Now to answer the question, is it worth it and would I recommend it? Well, how much is it? With my discount code MIGSS, it's gonna be around $134, and this is with the mount time magnetic switches GT, because the Polaris I think will be cheaper since there's gonna be some downgrades, or at least according to the spec sheet. But yeah, for everything you're getting here, full aluminum case, light box, all of the features, amazing sound, switches, amazing performance, great quality, yeah, I think that is definitely worth it. I would recommend it for that price. But if you already have an 8,000 Hz magnetic keyboard and you just want to try 16,000 Hz here, and you want to pay that price just for the 16,000 Hz, then again, I don't think there's going to be a noticeable difference, so maybe not unless you really care about that little milliseconds. but yeah, it's not really gonna be noticeable. So yeah, if you're interested, I'll be putting this keyboard first link in the description. Again, please use my discount code MIGSS. That would give you some discount and it would support me a lot. And please use my affiliate links in the description. That would also really support me a lot if you buy anything from the description. And yeah, also a little disclaimer, this keyboard is sent to me, but that won't change my review. Everything that you've been hearing me say about this keyboard are all my honest opinions and review. Anyways, I pray and hope that this video helped you in some way. I'll go and see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to stay grateful and remember, Jesus loves you. Bye bye.